Welcome to Tech Bites with Dan Hafner, your gateway to the future of innovation and technology. Dive into the exciting world of software where cutting-edge tech meets creativity. Explore no-code solutions that empower businesses to thrive without traditional barriers. Hear inspiring stories from tech pioneers and industry leaders who are changing the game. Join us on Tech Bites and transform the way you think about technology and business.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. So what if I told you that you could build software, you could launch a startup, you could create automation-driven solutions, build your own mobile app without writing a single line of code? It might sound a little bit crazy, right? Well, welcome to the No Code Advantage series, where we're going to break down how anyone can build and scale digital products faster than ever before. I'm your host, Dan Hafner, host of the Tech Bites podcast, and this is the No Code Advantage series, as I've been teasing in previous episodes. So if you are someone that is looking for no-code solutions, you're a business owner looking to do a startup, whatever the case might be, this is the series for you. So be sure to subscribe to the show, and this is going to be an ongoing series that we're going to drop a ton of value with in this area and in this topic. So welcome to this. This is going to be a very in-depth series called the No Code Advantage. As I mentioned, it's going to be about 8 to 10 episodes long. We're going to be diving deeper and deeper into this world of no code, how you can build applications, how you can build automations, how you can do complete startups. We're going to talk about specific tools. We're going to talk about specific strategies, all the in-depth things around no code and what it is, how it can work, and why it's advantageous to use. So I am very passionate about the world of no code and the use of no code inside of business. This is how I got started in business. It's what I do in business. I run a company called Dapper No Code that I started back in 2020, right around the start of the pandemic. And to this day have built it to be an over close to seven-figure earning business, and build all kinds of different solutions and apps and software, not only for myself, but for clients of mine as well, in all kinds of different industries and niches. And this is why I've become so passionate about this, is because I've seen not only my life transformed, but the lives of all my clients and so many people that have brought a dream to life or figured out a way to streamline something that was a manual process or something that was just causing slowdowns in their operations day to day. And they did it without having to dump a ton of time and money into things. It's a very, very awesome thing. And it's just why I've been so passionate about sharing all of this. So we're going to cover a couple things in here. What is no code? Why is the no code movement important now to pay attention to and talk about? Who is no code for? What are some common myths about no code? And then I have a special offer for you at the end, a free resource called the No Code Starter Kit that I want you to take advantage of, because it has a ton of cool resources for you all here listening today. So what is no code and why is this important? Why are you here listening to this? When we talk about no code is, it's a suite of tools that allows you to build software applications or automations or simple tools using visual development interfaces instead of actual programming languages. And I say simple tools, but you can build very, very complex tools as well. These tools are coming a long way. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not code involved in the actual deployment and use and maintenance of the tool. There's underlying code that is there. But you as the builder, as the architect of this, are not engaging in using and learning how to code in programming languages like HTML, Python, React, all those types of things. You can drag and drop. You can point and click. You can edit these things without having in-depth programming knowledge, which is really, really powerful if you think about this, right? You might have an idea that you want to bring to life. You might have an automation that you need to build. You might have something that you just want to put out there, whether it's for yourself, your small team of employees, or a complete SaaS product that you want to launch to the world. And one of the big barriers is you might not know how to code. The other one is you might not have a ton of money to dump into this. And I'm talking 6-7 figures to dump into this type of stuff. And you might not have months to do this. that is the beauty of no code, is it allows you to skip all of those things. If you can find the right solution for what you're trying to do, you can save a bunch of time, you can save a bunch of money, and you can build something that's actually useful and applicable to what you are doing. Now, it is different a little bit from low code. We're talking about no code and low code. This is specifically no code. There are a lot of platforms out there that are low code, and what that means is you can actually embed snippets of code, or you can, use existing tools like GitHub or whatever to put code into your solution. That is obviously for you if you already are a programmer, you have some, programming knowledge, and you want to be able to customize and do things like that, because that can really obviously the power of what you're able to do inside of your tool or your automation a lot better, but it's not required. Like there's just, it's a little bit different, right? So we're not really going to talk a lot about low code in this series. We might have a series or some things here and there with it. This is really specifically for no code, assuming you have zero programming knowledge, zero idea what I'm talking about when I'm talking about JavaScript and HTML and Python and C#. You have no idea what any of those are. This is for you. So that is a little bit of an overview of what no code is, to put it in a frame and in a box for you, right? It's visual programming. Think of it like that. So why now? Why is the no code movement something that is worth talking about, is worth visiting? Because when I talk about the no code movement, there has been a very rising in popularity use case and movement of people in the, not only in the software building world, but in the business world overall, over the last 10 to 20 years really has been, it's reshaping entrepreneurship. It's reshaping corporate innovation, automation, and processes and systems inside of all kinds of industries. And this is very, very interesting because it's only getting more prevalent. I saw a stat recently that said, I forget the exact number, I have to pull it up, that over 50% of all software development projects by 2030 are projected to be it's like 50 to 60%. They're saying that the no-code software development space is going to be the bulk of what's going on. That's incredible. That's a huge opportunity, not only for people like me who do this for a living, but for people like you to jump on that bandwagon. This is exactly how I built my business. I built my very first app because I didn't know how to code and I didn't have a lot of money. And I figured out how to do this and build this. And in that process, I went through it about 20 or 30 times in different platforms. And I built a skill for myself. I built something that was monetizable. I realized, holy crap, I learned how to build apps and software using no code. Why don't I go freelance and go do that for a business? And that's what I started. I started freelancing, grew it into a business, and that was my path. So this is a really, really exciting way if that's one of the paths that you're thinking about going. There's a lot of quiet quitting. There's a lot of job dissatisfaction these days. If this is a growing industry, this lowers the barrier for you to have a software development business, to have a startup, to have something that's doable, because you don't have to dump tons of time and money into this thing, and you can get something up and going really fast. Some of the key players in this space, obviously, I think you can't mention no code without saying Bubble in the same sentence. Bubble.io is probably it's like the godfather, right? It's one of the original no code platforms where you can build and you can launch things. There's tons of use cases. You just go on their site, bubble.io, and you'll see all kinds of use cases of people who have built very successful startups. I believe even Coinbase started on Bubble, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. There's another one I heard of not long ago that was it was like Airbnbs for boats and yachts. Like you could rent different, like aquatic things, even jet skis, like different things like whatever. So there's so many cool things that they do. So Bubble's one of the biggest players in the space. It does have a bit of a learning curve for those of you who are maybe looking into this or wanting to learn it. It can be a little bit complicated, but they say it is what it is. That's my opinion of it. Maybe you can pick it up faster. That's specifically for SaaS and software. Adalo is another one, Adalo. That's one that I use a lot. It's kind of like the Apple of no code builders, especially for apps and software and progressive web apps. It's super simple. It's a lot like Bubble, but way simpler to understand and use. I actually just got done teaching a class of 10 and 11 and 12-year-olds using Adalo, and the stuff they were able to build was absolutely amazing. So if you think you can't do this, think again, because there are kids that are doing this and they're succeeding at it, and it's really, really amazing. One of the big ones for websites specifically is Webflow. There's a bunch of other ones, and I'm just naming the big names out there. Flutterflow is another one for software and apps. And then two of the ones that are very prevalent for automations are really two of the biggest names are Zapier and Make. Make was formerly Integromat. Each of these have their pros, their cons. I'm not here to endorse or, sell any of these to you. You can subscribe to all of them on your own at your own leisure and your pleasure. But I'm just kind of giving you the names. Like there's more and more of these platforms every single day that are coming out. There's even more inside of this AI world, this AI boom that we're in right now in 2025. There's just so many. And that's, I think, one of the big things is I heard one of my mentors say recently that no code is going to be AI in the next 5 years. You're just going to be able to type in things and it spits out no code tools. Bubble is actually making a lot of progress in this recently as we speak, where you can actually just go in and type, hey, I need this SaaS application that is a Airbnb for boats, and then boom, it spits it out. It's really, really incredible. And I think that's one of the big advantages, because what this creates is what we call this citizen developer, right? It's you're inside of your business, your company, your department, and you can develop things. You don't have to go to the dev team to be able to do things. Now, there are risks and disadvantages to that inside of corporate environments, obviously. But this way of doing this is really very, very interesting and very intriguing. I actually learned Bubble from one of the boot camps they provide, and the guy who teaches it is a former programmer, would do specific coded applications, and switched over to Bubble once he realized how powerful and how awesome it was. So there's stories like this abound everywhere. I'm not going to get into all of those, but you can do your own research and find those things. So the no-code movement is very, very, very intriguing. Okay, so who is no-code for? It's obviously for everyone. It's the democratization of building software and building platforms. But specifically, what I've seen is if you're a solopreneur, no code is an awesome tool for you to learn. Even small startups, looking to build MVPs and launch fast. It's a really, really powerful tool. Even if you're an existing business, a small business, even a large business, there's more and more. I read an article recently about one of the major banks switching over to a lot of no-code tools. So, there's even businesses at every level doing this. But even if you're a local business, small business, you want to automate some workflows, scale without hiring a development team, build a custom solution. Maybe HubSpot isn't cutting it for you, Salesforce is too expensive, whatever. You can build your own things using no-code tools. And finally, I think no-code is a very powerful tool for agencies and consultants who really are looking to add software solutions to their offerings. One thing I actually do is white label my development services for marketing agencies, right? A lot of marketing agencies will do your Facebook ads, your Google ads, your website builds, your whatever, but they don't offer software development. So one tool that I actually do is offer that as a white labeled service to marketing agencies, right? So there's a very, very powerful partnership and connection there. And it's another pipeline for me in my business. And it's just something that's, maybe you could think about how you could do that as well inside of whatever you do. Maybe you are a consultant that does, marketing consultant or, whatever you do. If you could build a SaaS product that can leverage your time, that can allow you to serve more people at scale, not just for time and money as your consultancy goes, that's a very, very powerful tool. Same with agencies, right? So the, no-code can really be for everyone, but specifically in this space, it's like an indispensable tool. It just allows you, there's so many possibilities and doors that it opens for you that it's really, really incredible. Okay, so another thing I wanted to cover in this introductory episode are some common myths about no-code. As you go down this route, as if you are interested in this, you might find maybe you go on Reddit, maybe you go on Google, ChatGPT, whatever, and you start finding hey, is no code the right tool for me? Is this something that I can actually use? You're probably going to find some myths and some common misconceptions. So I'm going to cover 3 top ones here. So the first myth about no code is that I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. No code is just for simple apps. In the beginning, yeah, this was true. And there's some platforms still where it's just very simplistic building. You can't build very complex things. You can't include custom code. You can't do certain things. The reality is that many successful businesses are built on no code, and you can build very complex applications. One I can think of, if you go back in this podcast, there is a episode with Alex Sanfilippo. I forget what number it is, 88 or 285 or something like that, where he built a platform called Podmatch using Bubble. Now, they've since migrated the entire platform to custom code it, but that was a very, very highly successful SaaS application inside of the podcasting space that was built using a no-code tool to start out. So you can build very complex things. Not that Podmatch was an overly complex, wildly crazy complex tool, but there was very sophisticated things that they did with the tool. So no code can be used for complex and higher level applications. Myth number 2: you'll have to switch to code later. You can't build a uber successful, highly scalable business using just no code. Again, the reality is that no code platforms are becoming more and more powerful, and you can build those on there. Again, I go back to my example of Podmatch. They scaled to a point where it wasn't even like the scaling was the issue and the performance. It was they just kind of wanted the control over the code. They wanted to be able to do more things than the no code platform allowed for. That is one of the disadvantages that we'll get into in a different episode. But you don't have to switch to a custom coded solution. There was actually an example at the BubbleCon, I think it was last fall, where there was a company that had built a custom coded solution. I forget exactly what it was, but they decided to migrate over to Bubble. They did the entire thing over to no code. That's the opposite of what you would normally see, right? And that's a really interesting case study. Is okay, why did they do that? One, well, it was easier to update. They didn't have to have the expensive dev team. They could make changes faster. They could iterate faster. It was amazing. It was a really, really cool story to hear. So you don't have to always switch to a custom coded solution later. Okay, myth number 3: no code means you don't need any technical knowledge to build. Now, I do say that this, no-code technology is for everyone. Anyone can learn it. It is very true because I myself learned it. I had zero technical background when I started this, and I still wouldn't say I have a ton of technical background when it comes to specifically programming languages, right? But you still need to understand technology at a basic level, right? You need to understand workflows, logic, UX, how people are experiencing, how your client is experiencing the actual tool or whatever you're building. Because just because if you're zero technical knowledge at all, you're still not going to be able to build whatever you need, right? You're going to need to hire someone to do that. So if you do need some technical knowledge. You need to know the basics of how to use these tools, but there's so many cool things, like all these platforms out there, Bubble, Adalo, Flutterflow, whatever, Webflow, they have tutorials, they have help sections, they have courses, you can find things on YouTube of people who have used these, at least the bigger platforms. So there's so many ways you can learn these types of platforms. So that's not a huge barrier, but you do need to have a little bit of kind of intuition into how do I build this? How do I go through this? A lot of times the way I did this was I taught myself when I would just use apps. I would just use applications all the time. And I started to learn as I was building, this is what a list is. This is how a button works. This is how workflows work. This is what happens when I click this button. I can trigger multiple actions from this one form that I'm submitting, etc. Right? So there's a lot of different things that you probably should have a little bit of knowledge in, but you don't need a ton of it, right? So I hope that those 3 myths are actually, something that maybe can help you decide, okay, maybe I was thinking about no code, but I think custom is the way to go. Hopefully that helps you kind of maybe decide, okay, maybe no code is worth looking into. Maybe it's worth trying because I was so worried about what this, I want to build this thing, but I just don't know how to code or I don't know how to manage it. Maybe no code could be the solution for you. So if you would like to, ask me personally about that, you can obviously go to our site, dappernocode.com, and you can book a time with me. And I'd be happy to talk you through that. No sales pitch, no anything like that, no agenda. Okay, so that is all for this episode. Now, before you go, I do want to point you in the direction of this free resource. I promise you, if you listen this far, you can download what's called the No Code Starter Kit. It's a Notion document, so you can actually download it or access it on Notion. The link for it is in the show notes. It's got a lot of resources, a lot of tools, ways to get started, links to these platforms that I've mentioned before. So be sure to grab that in the show notes here and check out all of that stuff. It's really, really cool. And I hope that you get some value and some use out of that. That's yours to keep, completely free, no email needed. You just put it in, you just click on the link in the show notes. It'll take you right there. So that is all for this episode. Now, in episode 2 of the No Code Advantage, coming up soon, we're going to talk about the no-code mindset. Okay, now that you have a little bit of background, a little bit of foundation in this tool, in this area, how do you take this mindset? There is a specific mindset. How do you think like a software creator? How do you think like someone who's doing these things without having that technical knowledge, without having that coding knowledge? So I'm super, super excited for that episode number 2. Hope you got some value out of episode number 1 of the No Code Advantage series. And I will see you in episode 2.
Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bites, your go-to show for software business and technology. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes, insights, and stories. Hungry for more? Dive deeper into the world of no-code by visiting dapanacode.com. Your journey to building amazing software without coding skills starts there. Connect with like-minded creators and unlock a world of resources tailored just for you. Subscribe now. Explore Dapa No Code and let's innovate together.